Welcome, everyone. This election season, the North Pacific's Ministry of Radio is sponsoring a series of voice chat and text-based town halls for each candidate. We hope this event is informative, and we encourage you to participate by posting questions in the chat. Now let's get started. Welcome to the show, Maria.
Glad to be here.
I'd like to dive straight into things like I have done with the other candidates. So most modern nations, including myself, I am sorry to admit, are unfamiliar with your background in the North Pacific. Can you give us a brief history of your time here, including any positions you formerly held within our regional government?
I cannot give you a brief history because I've been here for about 8 years, thanks to
Then give
you,
us an extensive history.
I will gladly give you an extensive history. Well, folks, it all started off back in 2010. No, we'll start in 2012 when I actually joined the region. So I was raiding the region Stargate, which everyone should know. If you don't know, you're a bad citizen, is an ally of the North Pacific. I was raiding it under the banner of Den, I think. I don't think it was a Black Hawk raid. I think it was technically a Den raid. So I raided it. I moved a single nation mall into the North Pacific and posted on the RMB because Elu was the delegate, and trolling Elu is a time-honored tradition, not only in the North Pacific, but across nation states generally. So I posted something along the lines of, haha, raided your ally, blah, blah, blah. Elu banjected me, which was fine, but then Elu went too far. He put me on trial for treason, which was stupid because I wasn't even a citizen and I don't care about the region at all, and I still don't to this very day. So Elu put me on trial for treason. I appointed Belshaft as my counsel. Someone who nobody knows anymore was appointed by the AG at the time, who is also someone nobody knows anymore, to try me. That trial failed because the appointed person never showed up. Charges dismissed, and I have stuck around over the last 8 years to harass the region and try to coup it because Elu did that. So it's really, anytime you're annoyed at me, it's Elu's fault.
Good to know. Glad you're making that clear.
Yeah, sorry, let me just... positions I've held, I was a minister under, I think under McMaster, maybe. I ran on a campaign that I would refuse to do anything, and then I did nothing, and then Jamie fired me, which was maybe the only productive thing Jamie tried to do during his time as delegate, back in like 2013 or 2014, I don't remember which. I've been a justice of the court once or twice, where I ran on more or less the same campaign platform where I would do nothing. Sadly, you need like a second person on the court to really screw with it, but one person you can do decently, so I did all right there. If I've held other positions, I've forgotten, but I'm pretty sure just like random WA minister once or twice, and then random court justice once or twice.
Why did you decide to run for the delegacy this time around?
So let me just make one thing perfectly clear, which is I am running for delegate, and I want people to vote for me. And if you vote for me, I will do what I say that I'm going to do in my platform. I will coup the region. If you vote for me, I will banject a bunch of people and try to burn this motherfucker to the ground. Am I allowed to swear in this? Too late.
Absolutely, you are. I'm going to be doing it a ton. You're totally on board with that. It's cool. Go for it.
All right, awesome. So I'm going to burn this motherfucker to the ground. So that's why I'm running for delegate. I'm running for delegate because I think, let's put it this way. If we elect, I don't know, let me see who's in the chat. Pridania, which is I assume how you pronounce his name. If we elect Pridania is going to serve however long the delegate's legally supposed to serve, and then he's going to fork it back over to McMaster or whoever, and nobody's going to remember it, and it's just going to be like, oh yeah, that person, they were a delegate. Who cares? No one cares. No one's going to remember that. It's going to be super boring. If you elect me, this shit's going to get real funny real quick. So, let's get it rolling.
What do you think you bring to the office that other candidates don't?
That other candidates don't? I would say intelligence, good looks, charm, height, physical strength. What else?
I got to challenge
that
thing about
one thing I will not
looks.
bring is a work ethic. I'm not going to do anything to make the region better. I mean, my platform's pretty clear on that. I don't bring any kind of role play, that's for sure. I leave that to my lessers like Mad Jack. So I think that's a decent starting list. I could come up with more, but there you go.
I just wanted to quickly challenge your thing about good looks. You mentioned in your campaign that 2020 has been a kick in the teeth. So have you lost any?
No, so thankfully, and I try not to flaunt this too much, but I'm relatively well off financially. So this is hitting some people really hard. It's not hitting me that hard. As an attorney, my clients aren't really being super affected by this yet. So thankfully, I'm doing pretty well. Prayers up for people who aren't doing as well. My thoughts are out there for you, which is not as helpful as me actually doing something for you. But the thought is there, and that's the first step, I guess. So no, I'm doing pretty well. All my teeth are intact, including the wisdom teeth. I never actually had to have my wisdom teeth removed as a kid. I don't know why.
Congrats. I'm glad to hear that. You've already given us a pretty brief summary of the core points of your campaign. I was wondering, how quickly do you think you're going to be able to execute on those goals?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. So riddle me this, because I don't know, because I don't care. How long is the delegate legal? I'm reading the chat right now, so somebody answer this. How long can the delegate legally serve?
So it's 4 months for one term, but you're allowed to have 2 terms in a row in order to build up influence for that coup that you're planning.
Yeah, okay. So the influence cap is 6 months or whatever. So I would last as long as possible in office and try to avoid recalls. Obviously, if people are trying to recall me, I'm going to need to act a little quicker. But if I'm elected, it would be a little weird for the citizens to elect me and then recall me if I start to do exactly what I'm saying I'm going to do. So I imagine I would get the 4 months. I would certainly run again. And if it looked like I was going to lose that election, then I would go, off the rails. So it just depends. Depends how things play out. The longer I last, obviously, the more influence I get and the more damage I can do. So
you mentioned in your campaign the old and trusted methods of burning regions into the ground. Can you explain why the method that you have described is the most effective?
Well, yeah, so the key thing is you need to amass as much influence as you can over as long a time period as you can while degrading the influence of your political opponents. So you would run a counter campaign against all the Security Council members, which wouldn't be hard to do. I actually have already bought the stamps to do that. I literally have I've got several, I don't remember how many, like 40,000 stamps sitting in my inbox right now waiting to be used against the security counselors. So that's exciting. And that's just the numbers game. It all breaks down to math at the end of the day. It's societal manipulation and math. And the societal manipulation, if I get elected, then that part's pretty much done. Then I just need to play the numbers, and the numbers are you reduce the endorsements of your enemies, you increase your own, and you add time. And the longer that deficit grows, the more influence I'll have compared to the rest of the region and the more damage I can do.
Can you describe your leadership style while in office, if elected?
Yeah, I think I'll be, what's the right word for it? I think I'll be a pretty laid back leader. I think people tend to know me as someone who gets done what they say they're going to get done if I actually try, which I usually don't. But once in office, I think I'll be a pleasure to work for, because once I'm in office, it is too late for you guys. I am full steam ahead. There's no force on earth that can stop me at that point. So for the loyal minions who flock to my side, and many will, I think it'll be a lot of fun. We'll have a grand old time. If you want to know how much fun it is to coup a region, just ask Mad Jack and his 200 friends who helped me coup the South Pacific back in the day. Pridania, pretty sure you were there. Not saying that you were, but I'm pretty sure you were a role player, man. You probably helped coup the South Pacific, didn't you? You were there. You say you don't remember. You would remember either way. We both know that. Come on, you were there. You were there, Pridania. Admit it in the chat. Admit it right now. Admit it right now. Admit it. You're typing. I see. Hit enter. Hit enter. Admit it. Admit. Oh, he stopped typing. Oh, he's typing again. He's typing again? Hold on. Wait. What's he going to say? He's not denying it. It's a really simple denial, but he's not denying it. Okay. Guilty. Next. I'm ready for the next question.
Yeah, sure. So, how difficult do you think it would be to pull off the coup against the Security Council? How easy is it to manipulate the public against members that are elected to ensure precisely that does not happen?
Let me put it this way. A couple of years ago, I tried to pass a motion in the Regional Assembly to declare an actual emergency, which I'm sure most people in this chat have no idea how the legal code works or anything, the Constability Code generally. Elivatar, by the way, I want half of the profits for those Constability Codes you guys have been selling to support the North Pacific. The term Constability Code was invented by me, and the forum records show that definitively. You've been stealing my intellectual property.
You're absolutely welcome to get half the profits. The profits are actually negative, so if you could contribute, that would be great.
No deal. I want half of the gross profits, but not the net profits, or whatever one gets me
I think
actual
you're
money.
looking about.
Anyway.
You're asking for revenue, not profit.
All right, I'll take the revenue then. Thank you. All right, so Elu, he tells me that you owe me revenue. We'll call it $400. We'll round it out right at $400, and we'll call it off there. What was the question? I've already lost track of the thread there.
The question was, how quickly do you think you'd be able to mislead the public and destroy the trust in the Security Council in a way to pull off your coup as quickly as possible?
Yeah, I mean, so great question. Again, in terms of timeline, difficult to say. In terms of how successful will it be, a couple of years ago, I did the thing in the RA with the actual emergency where I tried to declare an actual emergency due to lack of Christmas cheer, and it only lost by like 1 vote. So if I can manage to get that proposal through, almost through, losing by 1 vote, or 2 or 3, I don't remember, it's not important, then I think I can, rally some conspiracy theories about the members of the Security Council. I mean, we literally just found out that the person who's currently, quote unquote, according to the lamestream media, winning this delegate election helped coup the South Pacific in 2013. I'm looking at you, Pridania. You admitted it in the chat. We saw it. So that's pretty wild. So, I mean, what other skeletons are out there? I don't know. I couldn't be bothered to even start digging until today when I just assumed that Pridania is a role player, so it was probably complicit in 2013 too, which is apparently true. So I don't know. I'll figure out stuff. I do it on the fly. I'm not going to waste time thinking in advance. That's lame.
I hate to interrupt the serious questions with this, but we have a brief emergency from Pridania. He's asking if you would select lettuce buns or regular buns because he's ordering lunch right now and needs to make a snap decision.
Yeah, so, Pridania is trying to distract everyone from the fact that he helped coup, another feeder, and that is what it is. I mean, I did that, but that's part of my platform, so that's to be expected. He didn't, it's not part of his platform, so kind of messed up. But on the buns question, no, it's a fair question. What I would say is it depends if you're doing the keto diet. If there's some health reason why you should go with the lettuce bun, then, obviously do that. Otherwise, lettuce bun is usually pretty gross. It gets all wilted and whatnot. It's no bueno.
All right, so why do you think that making things worse is the best course of action for releasing our pent-up anger in 2020?
No, I don't care about you guys. This will just be way more fun for me. I think I would enjoy it.
Oh, good.
So
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's not this again. To be clear, this is not about the read. This is about me. Let's keep it focused right in here. Right on the moneymaker.
Aside from the Security Council, how will your administration systematically destroy life in each of our regional communities, from the executive staff to the North Pacific Army, and from our role players to our RMBers?
Well, here's what I'll say. The North Pacific Army has come a long way from where... I'm pouring out another shot, by the way. Do you want one?
Oh, yeah. I've already taken like 2 more.
Okay, cool.
But you know what? Fuck it. I'll do another.
Yeah, here's all right.
This will be number 5.
I don't know. What are we drinking to this one?
I'm going to do Cointreau. It's like a orange flavored liquor. I don't know. Oh, you want to know what we're drinking to? How about the fact that this election is going to be so close that the votes are going to be divided so many different ways that you actually have a legitimate chance at winning?
Well, there was a prior election where there were like 3 lamestream candidates running, and Elu might remember, but I got like 4 or 5 votes, and I could have played Kingmaker, and I chose not to and made it all go to a runoff because I'm not going to make things easy. Come on.
Yeah, I'll drink to that.
Yeah, I'll drink to that too. Just screwing over the little process.
That actually tasted really good for a shot.
That's nice. So your question. So the North Pacific Army, Army's come a long way. Once upon a time, the North Pacific was all rah defenders, and then the UDL put in a bunch of spies, tried to coup it like 30 times. Elu knows he stood against the UDL's evil intrusions, which is funny but also true. Like factually, there are those who drink and those who count. Oh, GBM with the sage wisdom. So North Pacific Army's done good to get more Raider over the years. It's good to know that in the battle for the North Pacific soul, the Raiders won and the Defenders lost. I mean, the Defenders are now...
that's clearly the case, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're raiding now, and that was always antithetical to the very notion of North Pacific being the North Pacific, so that was pretty cool. So I think the North Pacific Army can be reconstituted as I can't speak for the Blackhawks. I'm not going to say it's going to become like a subsidiary of the Blackhawks, but if the Blackhawks wanted it to be that, I would allow that to happen, obviously, as the Delegate, so that wouldn't be a big deal. If not, I would just name it something. I don't know. I'd name it like the Blades of Conquest or something, Flashback to Bree. If Bree's in the chat, which she isn't, love you, Bree. The other ministries, I don't really see a need for them. Any of them whatsoever. I think the radio thing would keep running under whatever branch it's running as a propaganda wing. I might hire some role players to come in and do that because they're pretty good at that during the coup of the South Pacific. Other than that, no, the rest of the ministries can go. WA ministry, I know which way I need to vote on the WA proposals. I don't need anyone to tell me how to vote. I don't need the voters to tell me how to vote. Wow, are you guys stupid? Is the North Pacific still voting for the current resolution in the GA?
Actually, I have no idea.
Read the resolution. It is you literally are saying that your police can no longer pepper spray people. That's what that resolution will do. Moreover, holy shit, man. Why didn't you listen to me? It's a terrible resolution. The whole sedate thing, you qualify the earlier thing with the sedate line. It's terrible. No, they can't. Just not legally. Oh, now we're talking. So yeah, no, I know which way I need to vote. Other people don't. I don't need the ministries to do any of that. The government's going to be really streamlined. So if you're into efficiency, that's going to be a huge plus in this campaign. It's going to be really efficient, very clear goals, very simple goals. You shouldn't harm innocent people. I mean, first off, I don't know about that, but whatever. Yeah, I guess they aren't innocent. Yeah, if you're getting pepper sprayed, that kind of sucks. So yeah, I think the ministries are all going to get streamlined and for the most part just disbanded.
So you actually mentioned earlier that the Northern Broadcasting Service through the Ministry of Radio might serve as a propaganda wing. Do you think that would be something that you would use in order to help you coup the region, or would it serve more as a distraction to allow other nations to ignore the fact that you're making really deep changes to the region?
Probably all of the above, honestly. No reason not to use it for both subtle and overt propaganda as well as distractions for the masses to do other things. Pradania said something ridiculous earlier during his town hall. He said that, the North Pacific is filled with bright individuals who all have something to contribute to the region, which we all know is not true. This region has literally thousands of people in it, and there's probably 5 of us who have an opinion worth anything. And, here's a hint. Most of the proles out there, they ain't those 5 people. So, yeah, they'll be happy listening to the radio shows and whatever, and that'll be fine.
Could you actually go into a little bit of detail there? Which 5 people do you say would be worth listening to?
Excluding myself, because obviously I'm going to say myself. 5 people. McMasterdonia runs the region. Elu controls all the scripts. It might be only 2 people. Yeah, that might. McMaster and Elu might be the only 2 normal people who have any control over the region. So Ren is Ren still around?
Yeah,
if Ren's still around,
he does contribute a lot to the scripts.
Yeah, but Ren is like Elu light. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but maybe Ren. Yeah, maybe toss Ren in there.
All right, let's be generous. Toss Ren in. With the 3 of those people, you say that we should be listening to more often, I suppose. Do you think that they would support your campaign goals?
Well, no, they can't, right? So Elu can't because he's lame. Why should we listen to Elu? Well, he controls all the scripts and everything, so we don't have a choice, and he's our dictator. We just don't know it. Same with Ren. McMaster is the most clever politician in the North Pacific right now. He's way better than everyone else he's facing in these head-to-heads and whatnot, and that's why he keeps winning all these terms and whatnot, and that's why the North Pacific has been guided by his vision for the past 10 years, et cetera, et cetera. Anyways, so would McMaster support it? No, I think McMaster would have the most to gain from me cooing because he's the one who would piece it all back together at the end of this. But he wouldn't overtly support me cooing because that would expend all of his political capital.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. So, aside from the largest event of your term in office, which would be the coup, of course, do you have any other events planned that would impact the region in either a positive or negative way?
Yeah, no more talking on the RMB, guys. Frank, somebody said something about role play on the RMB. No, none of that. can we all just sit down and be quiet for a little bit? One of the things I'll do, and this is going to be a task, this is going to be one of those things where maybe I call up Bree and ask her to start logging in to help out, but suppressing everything on the RMB, just going and just really going to town on that bad boy, and making it clear that I've had quite enough of the tomfoolery, really setting the tone for the region. That'll be something that'll happen. That'll be kind of a part of the coup. I can't do that too early. So, other events and whatnot, I don't know. What do you guys like? What would make you guys happy enough to let me continue to coup? Do you guys like?
So, I know there's been like proposals for like a 2020 RP symposium, perhaps with Rainer Dienstad. I know that there's a lot of interest in a card event.
Yeah, no. Greater Dienstad is great. Those guys helped during the coup of the South Pacific in 2013. Those are good people. And by good people, I mean they're as bad as me. But.
So, as with any campaign with lofty goals such as yours, you need to have the executive staff to achieve them. In your case, I think it's probably best that we have as few executive staff that get in the way as possible. Would you agree with that statement, or do you actually think that bureaucracy helps potential coups in executing their goals?
Well, it depends on the structure of the bureaucracy, right? You don't need that many people to eject people. What you need to have a good framework of regional officers, of people who are building up influence. And to the extent that you're still running a semblance of government in the lead up to the coup, then you need to maintain the bureaucracy. For example, in Star Wars, we saw that the Emperor dismissed the Imperial Senate, and the one character said, well, how will the Emperor maintain control without the regional bureaucracy? And then Tarkin said, the governors will have direct control over their systems, and fear of this battle station will keep them in line. So that's kind of going to be the path, except we're not going to have an exhaust port built into the Death Star. We're going to maintain the bureaucracy of the Imperial Senate. We're going to wipe it out when we can wipe it out, leaving the governors in charge. And we're going to Death Star planets and just go bang, bang. Except we're not going to let like a little snub-nosed fighter come in and blow us up, hopefully. That's the goal.
In that metaphor, what regional institution would serve as the Death Star?
The banjection button. I don't know if that's a regional institution, but that's
it's totally a regional institution. You're welcome to say that. So at this point in the interview, I'm going to switch over to primarily asking audience-based questions, just because I know that we have a lot of them building up in the queue. So the first part, this asker has really no problem with your interest in couing the region. They just want to know what you're going to do for the RP community.
Who asked that? Was that George?
They want to remain anonymous, actually.
Did they like DM you the message? Because they
DM'd me the message.
Okay, well that first off, that's either George fishing for me to say something atrocious, or it's someone else looking for me to say something atrocious so that George will be upset. So shame on you, George or not George. Now that having been said, I'm still going to answer the question. I'm going to do absolutely nothing for the RP community. But to be fair to the RP community, I'm going to do absolutely nothing for any of the other communities either, except for the Raider community, because gameplay is more important in a game that is based on game mechanics. So there you go.
We got another DM'd question. Who is George?
George is Mad Jack. Mad Jack, aka from Marty. He goes by many names. I just default to George. George, if you prefer to be called Mad Jack or something else, let me know. I just default to George or something.
All right, so the first public audience submitted question is from Iluvatar. In what way is the North Pacific's flag reflective of a legacy of colonialism?
Wow, that is a stupid question. Good job, Elu. Elu's sitting there thinking,
hey, this is a really well thought out question. He's going to have to work really hard to figure this one out. No, not playing that game.
It's a good question, though. I like it. I'm going to ask somebody else that question in a later town hall, because that's a stupid one.
So Moreover is going to ask, will you spare people from banjection who vote for you?
Yeah, as long as they also endorse me. I mean, at the end of the day, even if, the key thing is once I'm elected, I need to have people endorsing me. If you're not endorsing me, then you're my enemy. I mean, especially if you're endorsing my opponents. So if you vote for me and you endorse me, you'll be spared in the short term. The only way I'm going to eject you is if you're not endorsing me, or I have reason to believe that you're about to switch your endorsements to someone.
Bormiar asks, in the time leading up to the coup itself, do you have any plans or vision for the office?
Well, I'm not going to do what Milograd did, which was waste all the influence in the first, hour. That was pretty stupid of him. That's why we lost in 2013. Do I have any plans or visions for the office? I don't know. I'll probably change the flag of the North Pacific to be like a turtle in memory of Ilu. Now that Ilu has brought up the whole flag. Yeah, so that'll be nice. I don't know. Maybe, the World Factbook entry will obviously be changed. I don't have any idea what I'm going to change it to yet. The regional officers will get appropriately dismissed and appointed as necessary. You'll see a wave of people coming into the region from other regions to support the coup. It's a whole thing. So, nothing, no special events or anything. That's what he's asking.
Aluvatar asks, does lacking a vice delegate running mate mean you are failing to put in the proper effort to coup? And why or why not?
Well, so the question is actually, this is actually a dumber question than the other question, because if he actually looks at who's running for vice delegate, he'll see that there's someone whose platform mirrors mine. So it's a little unclear. I think it's one of two things. Either Ilu is less informed about this election than me, which is a tragic state of events, or Ilu is currently blackout drunk. And I leave it to the voters to decide which one it is. I don't know.
Boromir just wants a quick question on your priorities, I guess. That's not really the right word. I'm drunk, forget it. He's asking, since Pridania is obviously dishonest, should we just vote for Garundu?
Well, so I don't want to say Pridania is dishonest. Pridania has been very honest that he has not said that he wasn't involved, because he was. He's not admitting that he was involved, but he's just not saying that he wasn't, which is functionally the same thing. If you're not involved in a coup, you're saying, hey, I wasn't involved in that coup, but he's not doing that, so he's involved. I don't know who Garundu is. I've seen their name in the chat. If I don't know who you are, you probably shouldn't be delegate of the North Pacific, because you're probably not anyone super important. I don't know. Is Garundu cool?
I guess. He's like a cool newcomer, I suppose.
Okay. Well, newcomer. First off, newcomers should not be delegates, because if he's a newcomer, he's an NPO plant. Like, I will bet you, and we're not going to find out because Garundu's not going to win. It's going to be me or Pridania. If Garundu becomes delegate, I will bet Ilu $50 that Garundu ends up being an NPO plant or something like that. Maybe not NPO, but how about this? $100 if it's NPO, $50 if it's some other region's plant. So Garundu is an outside agent, almost definitely, no doubt in my mind. Just to clarify two things in the chat, Boromir said, no, I was just asking for pre-game coup plans. I was like, drinking? Yeah, I'll create a voice chat and everything. It'll be a whole thing. We'll have a grand old time. There'll be drinks, there'll be games, it'll be great. Ilu is saying, but you haven't endorsed Lady Ravenwing as your running mate. Why not? Ilu didn't read Lady Ravenwing's thread, obviously, which is tragic. He's scrambling. He's desperately trying to find a relevant question to ask, and he's failing miserably at every turn. On to the next one.
Do you believe that Praetor is an NPO plant? I know that a lot of people have accused that of him in the past.
Yeah, but the only reason I think that is because the name Praetor sounds like an NPO plant kind of name. Which, well, then why would he be an NPO plant if his name is Praetor? It's too obvious. I don't know. The NPO is weird, man. Don't ask me. So I'm going to go with yes. I don't have strong feelings on that either way, though. Oh, Praetor, I'm sorry, man. Listen, your name's Praetor. You got to be an NPO plant. Come on. If you weren't an NPO plant, you'd be smart enough to change your name. You're trying to use that old double reverse psychology on us, and I ain't falling for it.
Do you believe any other candidates could be plants besides Praetor or Garundu?
I think we confirmed Pridania as a plant of some sort. It's just unclear from where.
Might be CCD. I don't know.
No, I don't think
he even had a whole essay on RP fascism. You could totally make that argument.
Maybe, I don't know. I haven't read his essays. I don't read things, generally speaking. I can't. But what I would say is I honestly don't know any of the other candidates in this election. I don't know if they are or aren't. I assume they aren't because most of us aren't. But other than that, I don't have feelings about them either way.
I don't know if you want to repeat that or not. I totally just killed my entire computer and had to restart for a second there. So we didn't hear half of that, but I don't know if it was important.
Yeah, the other, in short, the other people. Yeah, Mad Jack is good people. Mad Jack is good people. Yeah, I'm glad you're back, Mad Jack. Everybody else sucks though. So that's more or less.
All right, let me just pull up the next question here. So we have a question from George, a.k.a. Mad Jack, a.k.a. Join the Navy, a.k.a. Yvonne or whatever. So will you bring back past heroes of the region, such as Groschnauzer and Romanovia?
Wow, when we're talking about past heroes of the region, you can't not talk about Gross and Roman. Gross, the absolute madman of an admin, very staunch anti-raider, hated Evil Wolf, and then went all ballistic and crazy and tried to take sole control of the root admin account, and then what's-his-face came back and was like, no, I'm distributing this to other people, no bueno, and then he was so enraged that he was no longer the sole controller of the root account that he left the region. So Gross, yeah, I'd bring Gross back. That'd be really funny. I'd like to see his reaction to his beloved region burning to the ground. He'd either find it very upsetting, or he'd be like, see, I told you, this is what happens 8 years later. You guys threw me to the curb, and now your region's in flames. Well, Gross's forum post made it seem like he had a stick up his ass, because he did have a stick up his ass. So that's why that was the case. I'd see the other person, Roman. Roman was great. Roman is one of the few people who has gone completely insane during a trial where you could very clearly document his descent into madness. He was the presiding justice over TNP v. JAL Mark III. I think that was the third trial of JAL. Elu, correct me if I'm wrong. But don't. So Roman I would bring back. Roman because he's an absolute wild card who's completely insane. So, I'd bring both those people back. Absolutely.
Are there any other legendary figures from TNP's history that you'd be interested in having join you in your coup?
Let's see. Good. That's a good question. Anybody else worth bringing back? I mean, Jal, obviously. Jal's a classic. Got to bring him back, see what's going on with his life. I talked to him the other day. He's doing well, which I'm sure Elu is thrilled to hear. Anybody else? Nobody comes to mind immediately, but I'm always open to suggestions. I believe a coup is a collaborative thing. If you don't have people talking and figuring out ideas, not as much fun. So if anybody's got any ideas of who we should bring back, let me know.
All right, I'll just let them suggest that in the chat, and you can read them off if you want. Pridania is asking, in the event that you do win the election and proceed to succeed in your coup, could he be a regional governor?
I would consider that simply because Pridania strikes me as the kind of person who would take that position with the intent to overthrow me, and then realize how much fun it is to coup, and then ultimately decide to continue cooing. So I would consider it. Yeah, I can't commit to anything, but I would definitely consider it. Majak came up with one of the old heroes of the North Pacific, Gov. I assume that he's referring to Govindia. Wow, what a reference, Govindia. No, I don't think I would bring back Govindia. Gross would want that, because Gross loved Govindia, but I don't think I would. He wasn't really, a decent human being in my book.
Aluvatar has the next question for you. What do you think causes many active gameplay leaders to view the North Pacific as a threat or an opponent? How will your delicacy improve or worsen this perception?
They don't. Nobody considers the North Pacific Army to be a threat, because the North Pacific Army labels itself as independent, which is an abdication from all moral principles. So it's not a threat. It might be a threat on any given operation, but it's not an existential threat to the well-being of any region or series of operations or ideology. I think the North Pacific has steadily made itself more raider over the last 10 years, and that's clear to anyone who's been around for that long. So I would just continue that trend. It's been a good thing. It's also big picture, it is a good thing for the region. I would continue it because it's also a good thing for me personally and my regional interests in the Blackhawks and elsewhere. But yeah, so I would just continue the trend towards raiderism. What we see is that when it comes to who's the danger to the region, historically it's always been defenders who have tried to coup the region, take it over from the inside. I mean, UDL obviously helping out JAL. It wasn't UDL at that point, it was the proto-UDL, the precursor with the Eastern Islands of Dharma, helping coup with JAL back in, 2010, 2009, I don't know. So I would just continue the trend towards raiders.
Could you answer that same question, but not in the eyes of the NPA, but rather in the eyes of the North Pacific as a whole, from our WA influence to our significant lead on other regions in the WA. For instance, with the WAVP going on, we have like a much larger vote than they do, to just like a regional community influence on how we are able to attract interested nations to our region and have like superior recruitment strategies.
Yeah, it's actually really simple. You draft on our forums, or we vote against it. Done. Easy. You draft on our forums, or we vote against it, and we vote against it immediately. We stomp. The second update comes, we will vote against your proposal. GA, Security Council, what have you. You will draft it on our forums, on the North Pacific forums. You will listen to our feedback, or we will vote against it because we have the votes. And that's just how this is going to roll. And if your people vote against our people's proposals, we will vote against your people's proposals. And we will band with the other regions that think similarly, and we will make that work.
Boromir asks, do you intend on keeping your coup temporary, or do you want to instate a dictatorship or new government structure going forward?
Great question. So Franco-Spain is obviously the model that every coup tries to emulate in its result, right? Where the native resistance is ultimately defeated. They go into exile and they never come back, and then your government survives for all eternity, seemingly, because no one with half a brain has tried to overthrow the NPO in the last 10 years. So, I mean, I guess if you're going to call it a government, me still being in power 5 years from now, still banjecting people, we can call that a government, I guess. I don't have any intention of creating like anything of particular depth or significance. Now, it might grow organically because, just the mechanisms of controlling the region might require that. But I'm not looking to do like a 10-day burnout like the South Pacific was. That was the math required that. It just happened that way due to the mismanagement of the influence before I ever got involved.
We have another anonymous DM'd question. They're wondering what your opinion is of the North Pacific Intelligence Agency and what you would do to abuse our currently signed alliances abroad.
Yeah, I mean, presumably there is a North Pacific Intelligence Agency, and presumably there is intelligence to be had, and I would just use it to monitor what's going on in the lead up to and during and after my coup. So I don't really have an interest in using the coup to try and fuck over other regions, because as soon as you do that, you're inviting those regions to get involved against you, which isn't particularly intelligent. So I'm not really looking to cause a whole bunch of inter-regional drama here, just trying to really screw over the North Pacific specifically.
Well, I'm glad you made that clear. Looks like the next question here is from Rover. Would you expand your power in the North Pacific to other regions? Like, would you sort of be more imperial in your scope?
So I think I kind of answered that in the last one. I guess the answer is no. Raider, yes. Imperial, no. I'm not looking to colonize Lazarus or Osiris. It's all been done. It's not that. Ooh, that was a good one. So I guess the answer is kind of no. Now, if I get into a position where I've stabilized things and the region is firmly under my control and I can start like trying to colonize certain founderless UCRs, then yeah. But that's going to be a ways down the line, so I don't really have my eyes on it.
All right, sounds good. How long do you think you're going to be able to maintain the delicacy after you've performed the coup?
There's a good question. It's impossible to say. If I was elected, I would expect that the first thing that would happen is that clearer heads would attempt to have a regional assembly recall of me. And that would happen immediately. And I would file court cases to try and block that. And we'd go back and forth. I think that it would be extremely unlikely that I would successfully secure the region within a month. It would be really tough to do that. There's just too much influence sitting around. So it would be a any version of this where I win would be a very protracted struggle over the course of weeks and months, as just the things play out. So how long do I think I would actually last? I don't really have a concept of it yet. It's just too tough to say.
What's your opinion of Fedele's coup in the East Pacific?
I'm aware that it, was a thing that happened. I wish I could have been directly involved in some way, and I probably would have been, just to, get involved in something and have a little fun. But I honestly just don't remember too much about the specifics to have an. Is that how you pronounce Fedele's name? I don't know. Is it Fidel? Is it Fideli? Is it Fideli? Is he here? Probably not. Scar. Yeah, just say Scar.
Just say Scar. Fucking whatever. Dude, I don't know. I always say Fedele, but fuck it.
Well, Matt Jack says I have a cop-out answer. Matt, I literally don't remember what the deal was. I said this earlier. I don't think pretty good. Yeah, I mean, Fiddly. I don't pay attention to the East Pacific very much. So, I mean, I'm in support of coups generally. That's if I remembered more, I would give you more. I mean, I can give you a generic yay support, but I just don't remember anything about it.
Would you direct the Speaker of the North Pacific and the Vice Delegate to accept the citizenship applications of known coup collaborators, such as Unibot 3 and Dave Lands?
I'm not going to... Okay, so there's kind of like two questions tied up there. One is hidden in the other. The actual question, which is would I let Unibot back in the region, is no. The answer to that is obviously not. The broader question that was the question on the face is, would I let people who are otherwise blocked from TNP due to security concerns into the region? And the answer is yes, as long as they're in character security concerns and not out of character community concerns. So, people who are blocked because they're bad people out of the game, they stay out. People who are bad people in the game, more than welcome to come on in and help me.
Do you believe on giving nations that have been scorned in-game second chances like that?
Not really.
Okay. 9003 asks, what are your thoughts on WA blockade runs to kill just everything in the GA?
Yeah, so for those, this is not particularly interesting, so I'll go over it very, very quickly. I was a GA author for some time back in the early years. So I am somewhat familiar with the GA and just, the mechanics of it. Obviously, I haven't been involved in years, so I don't know the current politics very well. It's funny. I think it's a great mechanic. I love that people are finally doing it. It's great to see, and I would certainly weaponize it to support the proposals I want and obviously to attack the proposals I don't want. Yeah, back when the GA was good, back when I was involved, back in the good old days of 2012 when it was peak NS. That's right, Matt Jack.
Etheria asks, how will your delicacy benefit smaller nations?
Oh, it is not going to benefit small. If you're a smaller nation, you don't have jack shit for influence, so you are taking a trip to Fratland, aka the Rejected Realms. Unless you endorse me, in which case, maybe you can rise up pretty quick. But otherwise, you are in deep.
Are you sure wasting influence on ejecting smaller nations is the way to go in a period of crisis in the region?
Well, it depends what they're doing, right? If they're endorsing my opponent, then yes, because they're the easiest ones to get rid of. It all comes down to math, and you just got to sit down and with a calculator and crank out the math. Which, by the way, if anyone has paid attention to any of the CCD threads and how those things are playing out, those guys have no clue. Apparently, the Nazi groups right now have no idea how influence works. Like, they seem to have no concept of the math and how the numbers actually work. They understand influence as a general concept, but the actual mathematics behind it, they don't understand at all. So nobody tell them. Don't point that out to them. They don't realize, they think they know it, and they literally don't understand it at all. So don't point it out to them. So yeah, it just comes down to math and numbers and figuring out what makes sense at the time. But an endorsement from a low influence nation is just as valuable as an endorsement from a high influence nation. So if they're endorsing my opponent and I can eject them, but not the high influence person, yeah, you can yeet them into the wind.
Are you suggesting that newer nations such as Roy Jacques or others are deliberately exploiting our mentorship and welcoming programs in order to understand influence in the nation states as a whole?
No, they're really stupid, probably, so probably not. I mean, they come, people who are using the mentorship programs are trying to figure it out. Now, I don't know who these people are that you just named. If those are fascists who are coming here, then probably. I mean, that's how you learn, by going to an organization that knows how to do things, and you listen to them and you have them teach you, and then you apply those teachings elsewhere. So to the extent that that's happening, that's not good, but I don't think that's happening. Again, the fascists think they know how these things work, and they don't. Back in the good old days of 2012, when NS was cool, the fascists were actually scary good at certain things, certain military things, because they had very limited leadership that was competent. They had like one or two guys who knew what they were doing, and those guys were pretty good at what they did, and that made them dangerous. But they don't have that now. Now they're just outspoken. They actually suck at doing things. They're just very loud about it.
Can you give your opinion on past coupers or poor leaders in the North Pacific, including Pixie Dance, Great Bite, and oh god, what is his name? UPS Rail?
Yeah, I don't know too much about the history, to be honest, because I don't care about the region at all. I've been here for 8 years, and I really just don't care. What I will say, and it's a point worth mentioning, is we can name these people. We can name Pixie Dance, UPS Rail, Great Bites, all those people, but we can't name anyone else because nobody cares. So this is my message to anyone out there who's not planning on voting for me or not planning on queuing right now, but one day when you're delegate, because somebody in this chat is bound to be delegate at some point, when you're sitting there and you have the choice of, well, I could coup, and you're going to have that choice every day when you're delegate. You could coup at any time.
Yeah, it's definitely a total possibility.
Yeah, it's always possible. I mean, Mad Jack could coup if he was delegate. I could coup if I would coup if I was delegate, but anybody
Pridania and Praetor are both here, so they're listening to you say this as well.
Pridania, so yeah, here's an example. Pridania, who is, there's no other legitimate candidate in this election. It's me and Pridania, and everyone else might as well drop out. That's fine. If Pridania were to win, then Pridania should remember that no one, and I made this point earlier, nobody's going to remember him as delegate, and nobody's going to care. But if he coups, I mean, it's a heroes get remembered, but legends never die kind of thing, where you'll actually live on forever. So it's just a point to be made. Try and plant that seed in there.
All right, Great Bites Mom has a question here. The Security Council has racked up huge endorsement numbers. What exactly do you plan on getting rid, or how exactly do you plan on getting rid of all of us?
Security Council strong. You cannot eject us. We have many endorsements. Yeah, I mean, I know you guys have a lot of endorsements. I know that. That's why you guys exist. Your job is to sit there with a bunch of endorsements and be speed bumps during a coup. I understand that. Don't worry about it. The math will play out as it plays out. I'll either win or I won't. Either way, we'll have a lot of fun getting there. You included, so don't worry about it. Don't stress so much, Great Bites Mom. Boromir had a comment. Shoeless Joe is pretty forgotten, though. I mean, Shoeless Joe isn't forgotten. You remembered his name, so hard to say he's forgotten when you remember him. Tough. The truth hurts.
Have you reached out to any security counselors to ask for their collaboration in your upcoming coup?
No one will believe me if I say yes, and no one will believe me if I say no. So
I understand that, and I asked you the question anyway.
Yeah.
So
I get that. I'll ask it. I'll answer it, and yeah, sure, absolutely. I reached out to a couple people, and some people said yes. That's my no. So I don't lie. This is one thing I don't do. I'm not a liar. And Mad Jack will deny this. I was about to say he'll confirm it, but he won't. I do not believe in. I think that you can play nation states without lying. I think that it may not necessarily get you anywhere, but you'll have a lot of fun doing it. So no, I haven't reached out to any security counselors. There's no point. They're all lame.
I appreciate that you answered with both yes and no. That'll give the Security Council plenty to think about in the upcoming days.
Yeah, but the real answer is no. Lies of omissions are still lies, Small. Yeah, I mean, if you want to be moralist about it, I guess that's true, but like...
George / Mad Jack / join the Navy / Yevanet Nioj asks, Are you behind the recent spate of older, i.e. pre-2018 citizens returning to the region in the run-up to this election?
So that's a classic like way I could go about this, right? I could bring in a bunch of old friends to vote for me, which would be, that'd be one way to try and influence the results of the election. No, I haven't noticed that there's been an influx of such people. If there has been, it's been none of my doing. But whether or not you believe me, of course, totally up to you.
All right,
that was a
asks,
clarify.
sorry for interrupting. I didn't carry on.
No, you're good. You're good. It's just Mad Jack wants to go by the speaker. Although I'll point out, Mad Jack is not the speaker. The speaker
elected yet.
Yeah, he has not been elected. I mean, he keeps nominating people.
The correct answer is I am the speaker, and I just haven't ever been recalled yet.
Yeah, so you know what? Put some respect on it, all right? We got the speaker here in the chat with me. Get out of here, Mad Jack.
All right, Bormiar, as I was saying, asks, what forum hosting service would you use? I mean, who could give a shit? But just please answer.
It's a good question. Yeah, no, it's a good question. Tough to say. I don't really know much about forum hosting generally. I'd have to consult with my friends who do such things. We're probably not going to be using this forum. Let's be real. I don't think Elu's going to turn over the keys. Unless, Elu, will you turn over the keys to me? Can you answer in the chat real quick? Assume that I win, Elu. Assume that 2 years from now, I'm still controlling the region. Will you turn over the forum to me so that no? Okay. So Elu is basically saying that he will lock down the forum and never let anybody have it. Shame on you, Elu. Shame on you. I don't know. Yeah, Tap and Talk for sure. I don't think so. I'm not familiar enough with the forum software to speak to it. But I'd probably buy something similar to what we're using now just because it seems relatively nice. Better than the old forum.
All right, for this next question, just make sure to talk for a few minutes because I'm going to go take a piss. Moreover asks, you mentioned in your campaign that if your reign was going downhill, you'd eject just a bunch of people and conquer the rejected realms. What are your plans there? And please get specific. I'm sure it'll take you a little bit to explain that one.
That's super unfortunate because I have to go to the bathroom too. Conquering the rejected realms. That's more just because that would vaguely annoy Frat. Everybody know Fratistan? If anybody doesn't know Fratistan in the chat, raise your hands. Anybody? Iluvatar literally just rattled off every delegate of the North Pacific there has been besides the Coors, and he included Blue Wolf, implying that Blue Wolf didn't coup. Nice, Elu. Thank you for confirming that Blue Wolf is a worthy delegate of the North Pacific. You listed Jamie? Oh, gross. Oh, calling him a delegate. Technically. Sheesh. My God. Didn't Frat start the new Raider org? Jamie's great. I didn't say Jamie isn't great. Jamie is great. He's saying he was a great delegate, though. I don't know about that. Truth hurts. I think Two Slit was delegate when I was born. Possibly. So the question, what am I going to do to the Rejected Realms? There's not a lot you can do. Rejected Realms is a fundamentally flawed region filled with only the lowest elements of NS, and that's clear just by looking at who's there. Frat's more chill than to be annoyed. Yeah, Frat's generally chill. I don't think he'd appreciate me coming swinging through with several hundred of you degenerates. I don't think he'd like that. That's true. He's either super chill or he's just constantly annoyed, and it just goes by cycles. Yeah, very true. Great.
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah. Oh, good timing. We just answered the question.
Oh, perfect. I have no idea what you said. Iluvatar, I already cut off questions. Feel free to ask a couple more. We do have a few minutes left. But do note that I'm going to cut it off at 4 minutes from now, no matter what happens. So Iluvatar says something about remembering Nastic, Two-Slit, Wiltshire, Blackshear, Magicality, Thel, Sidia, Phlegm, Eris, Unter, GBM, Tresville, NK, Blue Wolf, Grossa, Passergad, MCM, Jamie, Ren, Raven, Tomb, Silly String, Plemby, Pallet, and Fiji, myself. I have no idea what he's asking in that, but just answer however you will. What are your opinion of these deeply conflicted idiots?
Yeah, so great question from you, not so much from Elu. So Elu's basically trying to say, well, Maul's point is if you want to get remembered in NS, you have to coup. which isn't strictly speaking what I'm saying. I'm saying that the surefire way to get remembered is to coup. No one's going to forget you if you install a reign of terror for a while. And so he's listed off just a bunch of irrelevant delegates of the North Pacific. So it's really nice that Ilu remembers them. So I guess, let's put it this way. You have a choice. You can either be remembered by everyone forever and have your name go down as, you know, like one of the players in nation states history, or you can get remembered by Iluvatar. I mean, you know, and so that'll appeal differently to different folks, and it says a lot about you if that appeals to you in some way. Otherwise, very suspicious.
Who couped the West Pacific in 2015?
Who couped the West Pacific in 2015? It's a trick question. Nobody did.
Okay, Iluvatar asks, do more people remember Thel, Magicality, or Emperor Mathuius?
The Emperor. Duh.
Are you sure that no one couped TWP in 2015?
I was drunk through most of 2015, but yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, cool.
Now, see, what's about to happen is going to be really funny. Because Magic's about to go, well, so-and-so couped in 2015, which proves you wrong. Which is actually going to prove me right, because that means that you remembered him. So, like, the truth.
Will your administration have a chief of staff? If so, what will their role be in your coup? And do you have any particular names in mind?
You know, it's a good question. I mean, Magic, if you'd be interested in cooing, I would bring you in as chief of staff. I think we'd have a lot of fun doing this. The short answer is I think I'd probably bring in some people from the Blackhawks who I like working with. Maybe, I'm not going to name names because I don't want to imply that they're complicit in anything yet. And then obviously anyone in the North Pacific who would be willing to step on up to the ball plate.
All right, well, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you, everyone, for participating and contributing questions to this town hall. Thank you, Maul, for taking part in this on such short notice and making it fun by having me drink something like 8 drinks in the last hour, which I'm sure will help Mad Jack's speaker town hall, which is starting literally in just like a minute.
You know what? It was an absolute pleasure. I really hope everyone So setting aside all the jokes for a minute, guys, I really hope you do vote for me because I think we would have a lot of fun. Just let me coup. And I'm serious. Let me coup and we'll have a good time. All right. Just, you can kick me out and win the coup, whatever, but we're going to have a grand old time. So GG's in the chat. I hope everyone enjoys the next town hall. I'm going to go eat some food. George, don't get DOS again. All right. It'd be a real shame.
Thanks again for participating. I'm really proud, despite the fact that this campaign is going to offer a coup. Despite being a security counselor, I really think it's been an honor interviewing you based on your impact on nation states as a whole, and I wish you all the best, believe it or not. Anyway, please stick around for the next town hall, which is starting pretty much now. Enjoy your lunch.
Peace.